Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Aligning with Success. This is week 14 of 2025, and we set out the beginning of this year first and foremost with a goal. Everyone who has been on the call since that call has a goal for the year, meaning so let's just make sure that anybody's watching this playback who's new to the business, who's new to the call, you can catch up. It's really important you do catch up. I would suggest you take the next or the last 13 calls and make a point of maybe listening to one a day, and listen to it on playback speed of 1.5. That way you can hear it in much lesser time, but really get an education. There's quite an education in the first 13 calls of this year to build an enormous business. You don't really need to go much outside of that. But it all starts with somebody having a reason to do something that's maybe a little bit unorthodox or a little bit outside the box of what you would consider normal or in your comfort zone. Um, if you're going to get results that you've never gotten before, that means you're going to get uncomfortable because otherwise you wouldn't be getting different results. So there's a correlation to the degree to which you're willing to get uncomfortable and the associated results. So we definitely want you to get uncomfortable by first and foremost setting a goal, an audacious goal for the end of the year. So just for the sake of everybody to recap, and this is the first week of the month, so goal setting is our first agenda item on the call. But just thinking in advance, it's December 15th. Nikan has just deposited your commission check into your account for December for the month of November's volume. So it's December 15th. You just received your commission check. You go either to your deposit, to your account, or you go into the Nikan back office and you see what that commission is. What's the number? What's the number that you're after that you want to build and put Nikan on the front burners for the months of March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, so that you realize that check. In other words, Nikan is not a hobby, it's actually a business, and you have a business objective. So start with that because that's going to be the thing that you need to remind yourself of. I have my reminder sitting on my mirror in my bedroom, in my bathroom. So I see that reminder every single day, more than once a day, because that's what keeps me focused on why I'm doing what I'm doing, what's the outcome I'm looking for, and it opens me up to receiving new insights. Is that you, Dave, sharing your screen?
No.
Okay, so somebody took over our screen and started sharing the screen. Sherrill, that's you.
Sorry about
Sherrill,
that. I'm not sure what happened here. Let me get it together.
you're sharing your screen. There we go. Okay. Looks like a good screen to share, by the way. It said incentives on it, so
Yeah.
if you guys want to talk about that, I'm game for that. So,
You
Dave,
ready? April?
let's start with you on today's agenda. Again, just a reminder, it is the first week of March, or excuse me, April. Gosh, first week of April. We like to review our goals for March, see how you did, and set goals for April. And these goals should be incrementally moving. You want to move those targets a little bit every month, keep you moving forward. Okay, Davide.
Th- Thanks, Michael. Yesterday, I was involved with a three-way call with the new distributor, and as you know, I'm rather business focused with regard to our business, Nikan, and I use what's called an admin scale. It's administrative scale. Admin was the short to basically you can use it for anything to get anything, and it covers everything. So one of those all-inclusive, uh, to-do lists that you have to do, and it starts off with your first is your goal, and the second one is your purpose. And one of the things that when I looked at purpose, and I'll get into understanding words and terms. Purpose, if you look it up in the dictionary, is reason, reason for. In other words, it's the why for, so let's say, for example, we go to the goal, and the goal is to become the best doctor in the country. So that's the objective that the person has. That's the big long-term goal. It's think big, think in futures, right? Or the goal is to become the best accountant in town, or the goal is to become the most successful Nikon distributor ever. That's the goal, the objective. Now, when it comes time to the purpose, this was an interesting lesson to learn. The purpose is why you have that goal. It's the reason. In other words, if your goal is to be the best Nikon distributor in the world, why? Why do you want to be the best Nikon distributor in the world? Or if your goal is to be the best doctor in Canada, why do you want to be the best doctor in Canada? And so purpose also is the sub goals. And what's really important to identify here in the sub goals is the importance and the intention and the desire to reach and achieve the goal. So I'm going to go back to beginning. When I signed up in this business, I'd been in networking for about 15 years, tried a number of companies. For me, they didn't work. I hadn't figured out the magic formula. I hadn't figured out what to do. So, but when it came along, I needed to because I was in a bit of a pickle. So I needed to make $8,000 a month. That was the goal. That was the objective. So I wanted to become a successful independent Nikon distributor so that I could pay the bills and live my life and take care of my family. That was the reason. That was the purpose. So in other words, that became the why. Well, then here's the next one that's so vitally important, and it's policy. And I have to admit, I had a misunderstood word on policy for the longest time. I just cleared that word, and I now understand what policy is. It's successful actions. So you do your goal, you do your purpose, and then what policy are you going to apply would be the successful actions of building a network marketing business. Well, what Michael and I have been doing for now, this is week 14, the last 13 weeks, is creating basically a library of policy on the right ways to do things and the wrong ways and not to do things. Now, here's what was so fascinating about this concept. There's a law here with policy. Most probably 99% of the people who join a network marketing business don't know much, if anything, about that business, how it works, and what needs to be done. Most probably don't know much about business in general, and most don't know much about owning their own business. So here's the key. This is where policy comes into play. So they rely on you to show them the way and provide the information that becomes important. You then take the policy that's known to create the results and you teach them how to apply that policy. Now, I'm not going to go further on this because we got a lot to cover, but in looking at this okay, it's the beginning of the month. So what should be doing at the beginning of the month? Well, as a business, you've set a goal or a target for the month, which is part of your big goal. You understand what has to be in place. You got a picture of it on your wall. You can see the structure. You have to have so many new distributors. You have to create so much volume, and you know how to figure out what you make. And what's really nice about our new back office is Pay Now is available, I think, on the 6th of the month. This is the first time. So you can find out how much you've earned on your organization by the 6th of the month. You don't have to wait till the 10th or the 15th anymore. So it's rather efficient. But so you're planning. You're an executive. The job of the executive is to solve the problems. Okay, so the goal for this month, say $2,000. Well, how the hell are you going to make $2,000? What's the plan? What are the steps? What are the details? How many people do you have to talk to? How many texts do you have to send? All that sort of stuff. Well, all those activities become policy and what you teach somebody else to do. So if you don't know how to do them, guess what they don't learn? They don't learn how to do the business. And if they don't learn how to do the business, your business doesn't grow, and they're therefore 99% quit because they didn't learn the policy that was how to make this work. What we do is so simple. We are a problem-solving group. We provide solutions to problems and situations. That's it. It's no more complex than that. It's as simple as that. You pull the thorn from the lion's paw, the lion hugs you. Look at the guy that saved the bear cubs and the mother bear came and hugged him. I mean, that's life, okay? That's the way this thing works. So if you have an economic problem, then what do you solve it with? An economic solution. But if you don't understand your compensation plan and how to make it long term, not short term, not that you get so much rebate on the first couple of sales, how do you build an organization to put that $5,000 in your pocket becomes where the rubber meets the road with this concept. Because that's think big and think in futures. That's again what we were taught when we built this business. When I got a mentor, the next thing on that step is find a mentor as soon as you can, and you call that and talk to that person all the time. So they're your buddy, they help you, they give you the policy, and do it with somebody that knows the business. So the idea here is in the sense of each and every month, and I've God, now 35 years of doing this each and every month. Beginning of the month comes along. What's the target for the month? What am I trying to accomplish? How do I do it? What's it made up of? What's the battle plan for the month? List out those targets and you go to work. Halfway through the month, we've seen that we get to halfway, we have a check. Or a quarter of the way through, we have a check. Three-quarters of the way, we have a check. Well, that's what businesses do, guys. And if you stay on top of it, and as Michael and we've discussed this many times, little bits of bites, little bites at a time, 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 and away you go. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought it would be important. This is being the first week or the second week of the month, going into the second week, coming halfway to the month. So you got your target, you know where you're going, you know what to do, and it's blitzkrieg. Get out there and beat the bushes.
Excellent. Let me paraphrase because this is how I read it. Goal is what we're talking about tonight. First of all, you got to set a goal. Is the what is it you're after? It's the what. What do you want? Purpose is why do you want it? Why do you want what you say you want? And then policy is the successful actions or the how you're going to get what you want. So right now, if you don't have a goal, you're just taking actions. Those actions are or are not necessarily aligned with your goal or with what it is that you want as an outcome. Now, there's a lot of people who talk about doing the business. I don't even know what that means. If somebody said, Mike, I am doing the business, I don't know what that means. There's three businesses in Niken. Which one are you doing? There's the retail business, there's the small business model, and there's the network marketing business. Which one are you doing? Because they're not all the same, and the language is not the same, and how you communicate is not the same. But your goal is not going to be the same. If you're in the retail business, your goal is to sell products. If you're in the network marketing business, your goal is to sponsor leaders. Two different businesses, two different agendas. So it's really important to have this, first of all, the language to define what we're talking about here. Goal, purpose, policy. I like that, by the way. I really like the idea of policy because it's not just one thing. It's a series of things. It's like you're aligned with a way of thinking, a way of taking action. And that is what we've been laying out since week one, essentially.
And guess what, Michael? If everybody was on the same policy, we'd grow like a weed.
Yeah.
I mean, just bang. That's the key to making sure that what policy you've got is correct and it's true and it creates results. Anyway,
I would also argue policy is system.
Yes.
Mike, yesterday, the three-way that he's referring to was with Star and Gary and myself. So number one, Dave, you have a document that's like 10 pages long that you sent to us, and I would suggest you send it to everybody here because it's everything he was just talking about. And I have my notes and the notes on policy, known activities that creates results. He listed the 100-page, the 100 names list, the success keys, finding customers, find distributors, whatever. So it's everything that you already teach. So he's just calling it a different name. And I would like to see if Star would be willing to, she seemed to have an aha when we talked afterwards, if she might be willing to say what that hour and a half meant to her yesterday. The Star, the time that
Sure.
Estrella is Star. Are you, can you just comment to the group here? Maybe something like what you mentioned to me afterwards. Yeah, you're still muted. You need to unmute.
Bottom of the screen.
Bottom of the screen to unmute where the little microphone is. There, Gary's there. Gary, you could sit down and share too. They were both there because it's very helpful to me. I have 3 pages of notes of what he just talked about here. So it was nice to have the review now, and everything that you said, Mike, it's just the terminology. So Dave, are you willing to put that
We
out?
got her.
This
Oh, yeah.
what's- Okay.
Go ahead, Sar.
Okay. What was that? Again, I was figuring out how to open.
Well, what did you gain from your hour and a half with Dave yesterday as he referenced most of what you covered?
Well, I learned a lot, and it keeps me motivated to keep going.
Was there a special Was there something that you learned specifically that could be a game changer for you?
Yeah, it's like you have to treat it like really like a work. You have to start like setting a goal and then talk to people and find out if they are really willing to like also grow. Like you have to like learn also to be an like expert or know what, so you can teach them what they're supposed to do at the same time.
So
Something
yeah, you need a policy. You need to follow
Yes.
some form of a way of, for instance, enrolling somebody, onboarding somebody, getting them started.
yeah.
You know, you
If
notice,
you don't know, if
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing, you cannot teach them.
right? So how do you learn, Star? How are you going to learn how to do it right?
I have to study and attending meetings like this.
Okay, good. There's another way to learn too, on the job, and get an A involved. You know, bring Dave or Madeline into the conversation with somebody,
Yes, the
and
ABC.
then exactly the ABC. It's there are not a lot of businesses in the world that are telling you, let me do the talking.
Yes.
They usually want you to do it all. So
Yes.
this is a business where you learn by being a good listener. And then you'll start to hear and see the pattern. You start to recognize there's a pattern in what's being, like, if you've been on a call with me, if you've been on the business call, the money call, you have heard me say good, better, best. How many times? Good, better, best. Good, better, best. I keep referring to good, better, best because I want that to become your language. I want that to become your understanding, your policy, that when you're enrolling somebody for the purposes of building the business, you need to establish a culture right at the get-go. Are we doing good? We doing better? We doing best? What are we doing here? What are we going to duplicate? Good, better, or best? Because whatever you do, you're going to duplicate. So let's decide on that. And what that, of course, is referring to is how somebody invests in the products for the purposes of building their Nikken business. And that's not the same type of an investment if you're just investing as a customer. So very, very important to have that understanding. That's policy. So when I have an enrollment policy. When you sign up with me, when you join my team, I'm going to tell you, I don't care whether it's good, better, or best, but it better be one of those three because you need to duplicate something. So that's an example of how we learn, and you hear that over again. You start saying it. You start expecting it. Anything else that you gained from that? That any other takeaway from your call with Dave?
Very. Mm,
The plan.
Oh,
the
I like
plan.
that word. I like that word. You got a plan? What, are you
Yes.
thinking like a business person now? How
Yeah.
strange.
Yes, he has the plan.
Yeah.
So we go through the
Because
plan.
if you don't have a plan, you don't know like, really where to go.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
plan that he
Yeah,
gave.
when he was given example to build a house, you need an architect, something like that, so, so to build it.
You
Yes.
need a, yeah. And you know what?
Have a
We
plan.
think in pictures. We think in pictures. So draw it out. Draw it out.
Yeah.
You should draw out this plan, the plan for this month. Draw it out because we think in pictures. I have only one plan, and it incorporates a thing called the rule of thirds. I figure for every three people I talk with and I seek to find a partner, one of the three is going to be interested in having that conversation. Out of the three people I share Niken with, one of the three is going to be a customer. One of the three is going to be a consultant. Out of the three people who join and one of the three just simply refer me to another. Out of the three people who join as a consultant, one of the three is going to go almost not go at all. One of the three is going to go real slow, and one of the three is going to go at my speed like a partner. So I know that if that's the rule, if that's I play by those policies. I know what to expect. So now if I know I want one partner, I know how many calls I need to make. I know how many people I need to present Niken to. I know how many people need to convert from being a customer to being a consultant to being a partner. So I know that, and I can play now that I know the rule or the rules. I can actually play to win. How many of you like rules? Most people don't like rules. But if you're playing a sport and you've got somebody you're playing against, rules are pretty important, right? Because
Yes,
otherwise,
it is.
how do you know if anybody's getting ahead? So you got to play by the rules and you got to play to win, but you got to know what the rules are.
And if you don't play by the rules, you get clobbered and beat the crap.
And then you might quit, not even realizing you're on the verge of success because you don't even know what the rules are. You don't even know if you're winning.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing.
I
And that is
posted
true, by the way.
I posted the document in Core Consultants, and just for the sake of Sky and Gary, there's a ton of information in that document, and and basically it's an outline with then why. It's an outline this thing, and then here's some stuff on it. So it takes a little bit of time. They were very good. They were very patient, and they took in a lot of information in a very short period of time. With the homework was read it over and over and over and over again, and in that is everything we've already said for the last 35 years and the last 50 years of Niken. We're not changing anything or doing anything different. It's just aligning it in a way that allows you to think and do it. And here was the other valuable lesson. Everybody's different. But if you understand the policy, then your difference can apply it to who you are. And that's very important in this business because one of the failures of network marketing over the years was the big guru would stand on stage and everybody thought they had to do what he did and didn't work. So it's if they understood what his policies were, it would work. And that's the difference. And it's a slight bit of difference, but it means everything to everybody in the end of, you know, I'll give you a prime example. Now, I was told to put together a list of 100 people. I didn't have a list of 100. I had 15. But here's what I knew from insurance and yellow pages and car sales. You always have to talk to people. So if I don't have anybody in the list, guess what I've got to figure out how to do is find people to put on a list. So I got the action done and I got the activities done, but by understanding the policy. Why do you put 100 names on a list? So you got somebody to talk to. And if you get trained properly and you learn what to say, then you say the right things, away you go. but I talked to probably 10,000 people over time. But my list started out with 15. So there you go.
You just reminded me of something, Dave.
Yes.
That this could be a goal in itself for everybody on this call. A lot
Yeah.
of you are veterans in NECAN. You may not have 100 names to go and talk to right at this moment. You may be like, scratching your head, who's the next person I'm going to talk to? You're not flowing with leads. Maybe if you spent this month gaining 3 new leads a day, that was your goal, just to build a list of quality leads. So then you would start thinking, okay, well, so how do I start? And what do I ask people? If my goal is to build a list, it's not to present NECAN. It's to build a list. It's to attract conversations, to identify people who could be quality leads. That's a very different scenario. And now what we have is we have a goal to build a list of qualified prospects who now then I can blitzkrieg next month. I can go through the effort of contacting and inviting those 100, knowing the rules, knowing the game. But if they're quality leads, your numbers might be better than most, better than the average. If you follow the process that we outlined in the contact and invite, especially the audio I refer to, contact and invite training, Sovereign Life Team, how to make that initial approach, I think your numbers will be a lot better. But there you go. There's an example of how to make use of this month, because what you're going to find by virtue of solving the initial problem, which is what do I ask somebody so that they feel comfortable giving me a quality lead? How would I define what a quality lead is so that when they're giving it to me, they're naming somebody who actually identifies with what it is that I'm looking for? Maybe I should start with figuring out, what am I looking for? So I would say, what are the 5 key attributes of the person you really want to be in partnership with? Write them down. The 5 key attributes of the person you would most want to be in business with. Now, when you start writing that list down, I'm going to guess that names are going to start popping in your head who actually fits the profile. People you know already. You could easily just call that person and say, hey, you know what? I put a list of names put a list of the attributes of the person I personally would most want to be in business with. And they are following. And guess what? You have 4 of those 5 or 3 of those 5, or you're on my list. Now, I know we've talked about NECAN, maybe that's somebody you talk with, but that's not why I'm calling you today. I'm looking for this type of person to partner with, and I know you know people I don't know. Now, I'm not looking for people. I'm looking for a person. That's really important, by the way. Take it from general to specific. I'm not looking for people. I'm looking for a person. Of all the people you know, and you know plenty, who would you say is the person who best fits that description? And you can list those things again. Now what you're doing is you're really targeting their subconscious mind to spit out a name that fits that profile. And they'll think of somebody and you'll say, okay, tell me more about them, and learn everything you can about that person. Say, do you have their contact information? Great, thanks for, and now you have a quality lead and a person who referred you. So you could say, hey, to this person you call up, do you have a moment? You don't know me, I don't know you, but I've learned about you through a mutual friend of ours, so-and-so. And I asked so-and-so, I gave so-and-so a profile of the type of person I'm really looking to explore a business with. And of all the people they knew, you were at the top of the list who fit that profile. And so that could be the next conversation. This is recorded, so you can play this back and figure out how to make this script work for you. But what I just gave you was a tool that could open up a whole new avenue of prospecting, because now it's an endless list. And maybe what you need to do is just build a list for now, and then blitzkrieg that list using the process that we've talked about. I do have another thing that I'm going to cover, but let's get to those questions. Madeline?
I just want to make a comment this is the second couple that I took to Mike and Dave on Thursday night, and they've been in Nikken. This couple has been in Nikken a long time. So she has for 15 or 13 years now, and Gary has for over 20 years, because I wanted them to experience the B, to be a C, and I wanted to experience to be a B again. And then from that experience Thursday night, I called, and Dave was very flexible for Sunday evening. We have two Royal Diamonds that are well accepted in the network marketing industry. And we're really very fortunate to have all of this free education. And just like now, Dave coming on, using the terminology that he does and leaving, and then you doing the example that you just gave. So I would suggest to everybody, just find somebody and get in there and experience what it's like having them as an ABC together. And I know some of the others of you on here have done that already, so that we become more comfortable. We all need to learn. We need to relearn too. Doesn't matter what we did before. We've been kind of in Zooms too often and out of action, or else we would have more activity going on. So it was really a very good experience for me. And I know it was for Star and Gary, having worked with them as much as I have. So I highly recommend that you do that. And that document, it's a long one and it's pretty detailed, but again, it's saying the same thing from a different leader's perspective. And a lot of it is from his years of sales in even other companies, not necessarily at sales techniques, not just in network marketing and good business techniques. So I want to compliment you, Mike, and thank you. And we really all need to be leveraging this Monday to Thursday better than we are with our own lists and bringing more new people. I think every one of us. So I just wanted to say thank you, and
Thank
what
you.
the purpose of this Monday to Thursday is really about. And I think we're moving along in the year with everything that's been happening in the year, okay, and holding us to the like you did tonight, starting out with what you did tonight is really important, and it is important for each of us to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Madeline. Paula.
What 5 specific attributes do you look for?
Well, the kind of person that I think most highly of is a person who says what they mean and means what they say. So integrity, courage, confidence, self-motivated or self-directed, and hungry, desire. Those are the things that I look for in someone.
Well, I would say when you ask somebody that you respect, they would say a good answer would be, why not me? Why are you asking me for who my other referrals are? Because who wouldn't want to be all of those things, especially if you went to them asking for other friends like that. So that's not a bad strategy also for them to say, why not me? Or what is it that you're doing, or where are you now?
Exactly. Let me switch gears for a second here and then talk about, as I mentioned earlier, the policy or the procedure or the how. Obviously, with respect to building a retail business, I'm not an expert in that. That's never been my strength. My focus is always on building a network marketing business, which means what I'm looking for are leaders. I'm not even looking for distributors or customers. I'm looking for leaders. Only ever. I end up with customers, I end up with distributors, but I'm only ever looking for leaders. As a rule, that's the only thing I've ever thought of, the only thing I ever think about doing, and the only thing I continue to think about doing as I go about my business. I've only adopted some of these retail concepts because it seems to be something that Nikken is encouraging with their social media sites and so forth. But that's not what I'm looking for. Because you can't make the kind of money I want to make doing that. I've always expected to make millions, so I make millions. That's the difference. So what drives me to the behavior and the way I think and so forth is because I have a vision. I have a vision of the future. In order to live that way, then I need to look at what in the Nikken compensation plan marries that. what rank in Nikken, what income in Nikken gives me the option to live the way I want to live? And the answer for me is Royal Diamond. And it's not even just Royal Diamond, because there's a variance of incomes at Royal Diamond that I know in order for me to maximize my earning potential, I have to be at Royal Diamond, build a team of people that allows me to generate that kind of volume, and then build on top of that more volume, because you get paid on volume. And the more volume that's happening in your 6 generations, the more income that you're earning. So when you think with the end in mind, you're always thinking to solve that problem, that condition, that you're always looking to resolve that. So when it comes to recruitment of potential leaders, potential partners, then the process that I use, the pictures that I paint, the order of what I communicate starts with vision. So it's my vision, it's their vision of the future. Looking for what we could share in common or what could be of excitement and motivating. It's vision. So I paint a picture of the future reality. The next piece is the vehicle, Nikken, and how that vehicle marries to that vision, how that vehicle can actually help realize that vision. And the last piece I talk about is the products that drive the business. Okay? That's the order of how I present information. That's the order of the funnel, if you will. Now, to validate, because once you've presented, you have to validate. Validation of the information turns it from their head to their heart. Okay? Present gives them information. Validate gives them emotion. And you need both. They need to know what they're thinking. They need to know what this is, but they have to connect with it on a feeling level to make a decision. We act on our emotions, not on our thoughts. We act on our emotions. So now, how do I create the emotions to support the vision, the business, and the products? Well, how do we create emotion with the products?
Demonstrate them.
Yes, thank you, Paul. We demonstrate them. So the products, to validate, demonstrate. So now when do I demonstrate? I demonstrate the products to validate what I was just sharing as a vision, as a possibility. So if, let's say I was holding a pair of insoles in my hands, and I said, you see these insoles? This is going to give us everything we want out of life. And the person's going to look at you and say, they're just a pair of insoles. How on earth is this going to do anything? Then I might tell you a story. Well, you see, with these insoles, a company got started in Japan way back in 1975. And then the first 3 years of business, it's all they ever made. But this company set a record in Japan for the fastest growing corporation, privately held, in Japanese business history. With this one product, this company exceeded $1 billion in business in their first 3 years. And we're going to do that right here, right now, because they're now here. So I turned the product into a story that has huge potential, huge ramifications. Now comes the real thriller. Now the thriller is stand on these. And I do a demonstration. And when they experience the demonstration, all of a sudden, everything I said is cemented emotionally in what they experience when they go, whoa, what the heck? All of a sudden, it all comes together in that instant with emotion. You see the process, how it moves somebody from a picture of the future to a story that cements a possibility, an opportunity. So we go from vision to opportunity, and now we land on the product, which is the means to the end. That's the order. So let me repeat: vision, opportunity, product. That's really the pecking order. Vision, opportunity, product. So why do I start with vision and not the product? Because it creates the holder. You've got to create the space to hold so that, let me see if I can define this better for you. It's the bucket upon which we're going to put things in. You got to create the thing that's going to hold all the information. It's the bucket that holds all the information. If you start firing information at them without creating the container, the information flies all over the place. They can't make sense of it. But if you create context, create a container, which is context, and now you start putting things in the bucket, filling the bucket, all of a sudden now the picture becomes more crystal clear and they're able to comprehend the bucket. They understand the potential. They realize that potential. So the bucket is the vision. And the vision has to do with them. What is it they want out of life? Where do they want to see themselves? Because now that we got context, what are we going to talk about? It's all the things that are going to lead to that thing. That's the bucket. That's the context. Then we go into opportunity. The opportunity is how Nikken can actually help them realize their vision, their dream. And then finally the product cements it, because now the limbic system's involved, the emotions involved, and they're now able to experience a visceral experience that, holy cow, this is something special, which brings all those other two conversations into alignment. So this is the technique. So present in the order of vision, opportunity, products, and validate in the order of products. Oh, let me continue. How do I validate the business, the opportunity? Any idea?
Your story and other people's stories
Where do I get other people's stories?
on these events that we do on Tuesday nights on The Better Way
Okay.
or
So
AB.
ABCs, right? How do I validate the opportunity? By connecting them with other people who validate the opportunity. How Nikken has actually fulfilled a purpose in their life. How do I validate the vision? Vision's a big grand over thing. It's an overarching theme. It's the context for the why. How do I validate vision?
Project it.
Pardon me?
Project it.
That's not validating. Validating is sharing experience. It's a validation of what they've seen or
Well,
heard.
sharing stories again, or some of the videos that we have on Vision 20, some of the statistics, the 50 million to 500 million that Luis has, 50-year-old company. But I share my story of that first year, that first event in Japan, where I
Okay,
sat.
stop right there. An event.
Yes.
It was an extraordinary event. It was a big event. It was a special event. In other words, it's an event on a larger scale where they're able to be overwhelmed by people's experiences. And then they realize the truth of the matter, the fact that this is real. When they see so many people sharing this common theme, then now they have the validation of the vision. So, what I just gave you is the technique. If you can do this with some degree of consistency with people who are open and interested, then you're going to find the results are there. But you can't skip the steps and you can't change the order. That's policy. You got to start with vision, then go to opportunity, then go to the products, then validate the products, validate the opportunity, validate the vision. By the end of that process, you will have somebody who's really on board, not someone on board. So
it's,
if you
it's an
go ahead.
example of the sorting. We talk about those little letters that are at the top of the 100 names lists of influence and whatever your
EIRL, entrepreneurial, influential, resourceful, and their location is not far from you.
And Mike, I have a question. So, I'm at the point where my vision, I'm looking for particular kinds of people. I mean, I'll just name them because we already know who they are. You know, Bruce and Bo and Ihor and the Galleys, Reed Nelson, Dave Johnson, Dennis Williams. And earlier in my career, Nikken, I don't think I really had the faith to hold to that vision and say, that's really who I'm looking for. So I brought in volume, but it wasn't from those kinds of people. And now I really I was at Pierre Polyev. God, wouldn't he be great? But I was at an event in Penticton, 4,000 people, and it reminded me of the Team Diamond events that Reed put on. And
Well, it wasn't
you know,
Reed.
it
It was
wasn't,
13 Royal Diamonds came together to create
yeah.
Team
But you
Diamond.
know, those Royal Diamonds, it wasn't just him, but through him, other people, were found and found through other people. So there's a network, of course, that created it. But
I'm,
th
I'm
there
gonna
isn't, you know,
I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. Give me 1 second. Keep going, keep going. Let me find what I'm looking for, and then I'm gonna
okay,
share this with you.
because there was something in him that, created so that other people were found and then other people were found. And so maybe it really does, from what you're saying, it has to do with the types of people that
I was
we're
gonna say
looking for.
you listed some names. What I would ask you is, because it's not the person, it's the character of the person. So, because
Yes,
each person was different, each person has their
yes.
own unique. So, what is it about the person? Extract in principle, what is it about that individual, their character, their motives, whatever, that drives that behavior? Because what we're looking for is that type of person. So that's why I said, what are the attributes of the person you want to be in business with? When you put that on your radar, when you put that in the consciousness of your mind, by the way, I suggest you carry it around on a piece of paper with you. And if you are out and about in the world doing whatever you're doing, but you keep that paper with you on purpose, and you happen to notice somebody who fits one or
Mm.
two or three of these characteristics, you could walk straight up to that person and say, "Hi, my name is Mike. I know you don't know me from Adam, but I actually have a piece of paper in my pocket that identifies 5 of the key attributes of the person I would most want to be in business with. And I happen to notice when you were with that person, blah, 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 blah. And now I describe 1 or 2 of those attributes.
Yeah, like
Now
that
I,
person in Australia that you,
right. Now all of a sudden I have somebody identified in front of me, real live, and say, I don't know if this would be of any interest to you whatsoever. Is there a chance that you and I could have a conversation in the next day or two? And I'll tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing here and how you might be able to fit into that. Wow, all of a
yeah.
sudden now I could be anywhere in the world, anytime, with that piece of paper constantly nudging me saying, what do you see? What do you see? The radar sweeping the audience constantly 24/7, because that's what I've programmed my mind to do. And now I'm going to see the red car instead of the blue car, or the blue car instead of the red car, depending on what I've got on a piece of paper.
So motivated, hungry, somebody who likes to be helpful to people, somebody who's charismatic. All of the people, including you, of course, Mike, they all have that. Every name I named has those, those characteristics.
So I'm letting something out of the bag here. This is just for your eyes only for the moment. So yes, this Team Diamond Global is in the works.
Oh,
Anew,
wow.
anew. Yeah, well, you'll learn more about this as I go, but this is the beginning of something to again be able to present to the people you bring, that it's not just me, it's not just Dave, but there's actually a body of people throughout Nikan land that represent what it looks like to live life at its fullest, to be on purpose, to be experiencing the quality of life that Nikan Royal Diamonds experience. So we're going to be featuring and showcasing the diamonds and royal diamonds of Nikan. And this page is being built out right now. Actually, I had a meeting today with the managing director of Nikan Latin America to bring him up to speed on things. He's supercharged about it. So that's in the works. Why? Why would I be doing that? Well, let me see. Everything starts with a vision. So what's this vision about? He has a vision for a team of diamonds, global, not local, not national, global, and bringing this team of people together. Why? Why would he bring a team of Nikken Royal Diamonds and diamonds together? For what purpose?
Momentum.
You know,
Momentum.
to create a picture like a when you're there, believe me, when
Exactly.
you're at an event like this, and I
Yeah.
was there Saturday, like it does something.
It does something. So that's why we're doing it, because we want to go from 50 million to 500 million. What we need to do is we need to show people what it looks like, where we're going, what's possible, and profile that in a number of different ways, different people, different languages, so they can see maybe I could be one of those people too. Maybe my picture could be on that wall, which, by the way, I didn't show you the wall, but there is a picture. There are people on the wall. So think about it. I'm doing what I need to do to facilitate a process of moving Nikken from 50 million to 500 million, which starts with vision. It all starts with vision. The vision is 500 million. The vision is what I said, what I reminded you, and I reminded our managing director in Latin America. We're not going to do 10 times more work. We're going to get 10 times more people at all those ranks.
Yeah.
So that could be you. That could be your team. It's going to be somebody's team. Michelle, you had your hand up.
I did, talking about vision, and we've had this conversation many times. And first of all, you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want, and you have to own it. You have to be able to visualize it. And that is so incredibly powerful when you can see it and you can taste it, you can feel it. You are it. That is visualization. And when you have that kind of passion, it's amazing. You'll move mountains. It's amazing. And I talked about a very simple vision. Remember when we had this conversation about when I was standing in my garden and I'm looking at bare land and a lake in front of me, and I could see my new house, and I visualized it, and I knew what it was like. And what got my heart the most was standing on my back deck and waving to my grandchildren. Come on in, it's so good to see you. Within 3 years, I had the house exactly how I envisioned it. And it gives me goosebumps because I'm standing on the back deck as my grandchildren are coming here from Edmonton, and I'm waving at them. It's so incredibly powerful.
And you had to do a lot to get from there to there. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in between.
A lot.
But it all started with you in your mind, seeing something,
And
just in your mind.
Owning it.
There's something, I had a beautiful meeting today with the spiritual master and with my daughter actually. And he mentioned a few things, but one of the things he was reminding us of is everything begins in the mind. Everything begins in the mind, your mind. The question is, where do you exist? In whose mind do you exist? If everything is created from mind, if everything is created from mind, and you are a created being, whose mind are you living in? Are you existing in? You being the created one are being created by the mind of your creator. You are a mind creating in the likeness and image you were created, meaning you have the ability to create, as does the creator. The creator of the universe is creating from mind. Everything starts in the mind. Therefore, you are in the mind of the creator. You are in the mind of the creator of the universe. And that mind created you in the likeness and image of that creator. And if you think about what you are doing with that power right now, in terms of what you are creating in your mind, how small do you think you are in contrast to what's possible for you?
Too small.
We're all living very, 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 very beneath our potential. And we need these reminders. We need these reminders because otherwise we will actually get comfortable and numb in our comfort. And that is not why you were created. You were not created to exist. You're created as a feedback loop. You're created to create so that the creator can experience creation through you. If you're not in that process, as my mentor would say, you're either going up or you're coming down. There is no status quo. It's an illusion. So you're either going up or you're coming down. And the difference is you're either expanding or you're contracting. You're either creating or you're disintegrating. And that goes for your body. So, how do we get into the creative state? Remind yourself of who is in charge of the creation, the ultimate creation, and you're in the mind of that creator, given the authority and the power to co-create. So create. You said own it. Yeah, you got to own it. What does it look like to own it? Live a moment or two or 5 or 10 or an hour or 2 or a week or more in the mind of that person that you have become. Live in the space of of what you have created. Live in it in your mind. You're going to first live it there before you live it in your physical life anyway. That's the pecking order of creation. So start living in that, your vision board, your meditation, your prayer. Are you praying as though you have received it? Are you praying hoping to receive it? Boy, there's a big difference. You were instructed exactly how to pray, as though you have received it, which means living in the moment as though that moment has been fulfilled. It says the same damn thing, right? The rules are so simple. The policy has been written on creation. How many of us ignore it or pretend like it doesn't even exist? What about if you just adopted it and explored it and expanded on it, a newer version of you, a greater version of you, an expanded version of you? Now you're somebody worth looking at. Now you're somebody worth paying attention to. Now you're somebody worth following. Where does it start? Vision. Well, we're wrapping up here. We got another couple of minutes before the hour's up. Any final thoughts or comments, or do we just wrap up? Okay, so now that you've had your reminder, get to work.
It's always fun listening to you, Mike.
Thank you, Wes. All right,
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you. That was awesome, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.